Inflation. It's not just some boring economics term your bald high school teacher droned on and on about. It's a full-on assault of your wallet, your dreams, and frankly, your will to live. It's the government and the central banks playing monopoly banker, and with each dollar that they print, they turn savings that yesterday could have purchased you a finely tailored suit to maybe being able to buy you a t-shirt off the Walmart clearance rack. Guys, as we get started, please thumb up this video. It costs you absolutely nothing. If you like this content and you're new, subscribe and leave me a comment with your thoughts. First off, let's get one thing straight. Inflation is not just prices going up, as though that's some given that they desire for you to accept. What it is the money supply getting juiced up like a bodybuilder on steroids. Poof! Some politician with a pen and a bad toupee decides to flood the economy with fresh, shiny dollars, and suddenly your hard-earned cash is worth less than the paper that it's printed on. It's like watering down your whiskey. Same glass, whoo, less kick. Your savings, debased. Your wealth, diluted. It's like you spent years building a sandcastle of economic security, and the Fed rolls in with a fire hose and blasts it into mush. And who gets the first sip from this money printing fire hose? Not you, pal. Oh no, it's the elites, the connected, the ones cozying up to the spigot. Politicians, bankers, corporate cronies, they're swimming in freshly printed cash as though they were Scrooge McDuck in his vault, spending it before it loses value. Meanwhile, you're at Trader Joe's wondering how in the world frozen mangoes increased in price by 50%, as did I on a recent trip back to the United States. Or you're shell-shocked because your favorite $12 pad thai now costs $20 at your local Thai eatery. $20 for some rice and sadness. And this, my friends, is where it gets ugly. All that new money doesn't just sit there. It floods into scarce assets like stocks, real estate, and that one heinous-looking NFT your cousin bought for $10,000. Great investment, buddy. Housing? Forget about it. It's a fugazi. You know, because back in 1971, when we ditched the gold standard, because, who needs accountability, a house cost about 2.5 years of the average Joe's income. Today, you're shelling out 5 years of your soul-crushing 9 to 5 just to afford a starter home that looks like it was built by a drunk contractor on a budget. The youth, they're priced out. Instead, they're stuck renting shoebox apartments while dreaming of the day they can afford a down payment or hell, maybe even a family. Good luck starting your life when you're spending 60% of your income on rent and avocado toast is now a luxury good. And don't get me started about time preference. Low time preference, you value the future. High time preference, you do everything for the now. And with this inflation, it screws with your brain, man. Back when money was stable, people built things to last, like the Cathedral of Notre Dame, which took an unbelievable 182 years to construct. Imagine you told a medieval peasant, hey, let's build a cathedral that'll outlive your great grandkids. They'd be like, hell yeah, let's do it. Today, nobody's building cathedrals. Why bother when the cost of bricks might double by next Tuesday? Inflation turns us into short-term lunatics. Instead, we blow our cash on the fleeting pleasures of life because saving is for suckers. You have that money that today you just toss in the gutter, as they do in Venezuela? It's like living in a war zone or post-Soviet Russia, where gangsters were popping champagne and throwing cash at strippers because tomorrow some other mobster might shank you. High time preference, baby. Spend it now or lose it forever. But wait, it gets worse. Inflation isn't just robbing your wallet, it's a psychological gut punch. You can't plan for the future when you don't know if a gallon of milk will cost $5 or $50 next year. Businesses cannot sign long-term contracts because who knows what money is going to be worth. You try to lock in a deal, you think you're getting a good one, but by the time's done, you're collecting wheelbarrows of cash that are worthless, Weimar style. In 1923, at the start of the year, in Germany, a loaf of bread cost 250 Deutschmarks. You know what it was by the end of the year? You couldn't guess, possibly, because it's so out of this world. 200 billion. 200 billion marks that before was 250 for a damn baguette. That's not an economy. That's a dystopian clown show. And let's talk about the workers who are getting screwed. Wages? Yeah, they're sticky as hell. Because your boss is not going to give you a raise every week to keep up with the price of eggs. Meanwhile, the rich, their assets, I'm talking about stocks, houses, their gold-plated yachts, they are skyrocketing because inflation automatically pumps up scarce assets. Thus, the wealth gap widens and the middle class gets squeezed into oblivion. No wonder that people are getting pissed. They're rioting in the streets. The summer of love was in part because of this. Of course, it was also a color revolution against Donald Trump, but you're seeing the same effects happening today in New York City, where they're screaming about socialism, about to elect an Islamist, socialist, communist mayor. They're like, capitalism, it's broken. But they're wrong. It's not capitalism, it's the Fed printing the money like they're running a Kinko's. And then, when socialism inevitably flops like a bad sitcom, they'll say, we just didn't do it right. Sure, let's try it again in New York City, where a $15 cup of coffee is now a frickin' human right. And technology, let's talk about that. It's actually deflationary. We're out here inventing robots, AIs, and tractors that grow more corn with less work, an increase in productivity and efficiency. You would expect prices to drop, but what do? No, they climb. Why? Because the Fed's money printer goes brrr. You're getting robbed twice. Once by the inflation rate that they admit to, when they're using a basket of goods that is not actually representative of the real inflationary pressures faced by our economy. And then a second time you're getting robbed by the efficiency gains that you should be enjoying. For example, if I'm a bicycle producer and somehow it costs me 4% less because of efficiency gains that I've outlined here to produce a new bike, but instead I've raised my prices 5%, the real inflation rate that the public is getting gypped on is not the 5% increase. No, it's 9%. 9%. The 4% of product efficiency gain plus the 5% in case you didn't figure it out. Look, you're not crazy for feeling like you're being fleeced. It's because you are. And the cherry on top, the US, the country, we get to export our inflation and all this chaos because the dollar is the world's reserve currency. So the inflationary effects of the money printer are not fully felt in the United States because they're dispersed out over the rest of the world, whereas Zimbabwe, they start printing money and almost instantaneously nobody wants it. The US dollar is the cleanest shirt in the hamper of dirty, dirty clothes. So because of that, because of our military prowess, we can print the money. And we ship the inflation, as I said, overseas and let other countries deal with the fallout. Meanwhile, savers, good little savers that put their money in the bank or under their mattress, they get screwed. Workers, they get screwed. The winners, the big ones, are the ones with their hands near the money spigot or a portfolio stuffed with assets. And my friends, the good news is that there is an answer: hard money. Like we used to have gold before 1971, somehow backing the currency, or when you did not have a central bank and the currency was the commodity and it was normally based on gold or silver. But today we have Bitcoin. Why? Because there can be 21 million coins maximum. No politician can print more. You can't arrest somebody and say change the protocol because there's nobody to arrest because it's completely decentralized. You can yeet your Bitcoin across borders when the commies come a-knocking, and you can soon follow wherever you sent your coins if they haven't brought the leg irons with them to pin your ass down. Which, by the way, Bitcoin is very much unlike your house, which they'll tax until you're living in a tent, thus making it a superior form of property. And when people decide that, hey, this is a better place to put my economic crystallized energy, then the monetization involved in housing decreases, and you will see a drop in property prices because we can only use one house at a time, and Bitcoin's a superior store of value. Bitcoin is untouchable. Hard money also keeps the central planner's sticky fingers off of your wealth because they can't print more of it because they now have a check. Because right now they are robbing you and me blind and laughing all the way to their third vacation home while you're Googling how to live in a van because the rent is too damn high.
And I live in a van down by the river.
Inflation doesn't just destroy your bank account. It destroys trust, it destroys hope, and our society, as well as the future. You will not have a Notre Dame built today by anybody except for Elon Musk. And if that doesn't make you want to scream into the void, I don't know what will.